Hi, I'm Sophie, and welcome to my world. And welcome to yet another installment of Q&A with Sophie. This is, believe it or not, number 9. You guys just keep coming up with the best questions, like this one from Fiona Crafts. Have you ever played Minecraft? Well, Fiona Crafts, let me just tell you this. I have done a ton of Minecraft birthday parties, which are total blasts, and I love my Minecraft birthday parties. But I have to be honest with you, I have never actually played Minecraft myself. Now, I've watched other people play, and it looks like a lot of fun, but I've never physically played by myself. Jackson C. asks, where do you get your ideas besides us? Jackson is referring to an earlier Q&A where I said that I got a lot of my ideas from you, the viewers. Here's the thing, Jackson. I do a lot of research. Part of my job is reading, part of my job is scouring the internet, part of my job is just seeing what's out there from day to day. I'm always keeping my eyes open. My clients let me know what's new. A lot of times I'll have a client who'll suggest a craft from either a Pinterest board or something they've seen, or they've seen another craft someplace else, and they'll share it with me. So the ideas come from all over. But I do a lot of research, And, you know, a lot of the times what will happen is I'll find a craft, I'll think it's really cool, I'll base my own version of it on what somebody else may have done. But I often find that I'm not very good at following other people's directions. I'm really much better at creating it myself, and then I can learn how to do it so that I can teach it. So that's the way I have developed a lot of my craft projects, is by taking somebody's idea, and I usually try to give those people credit, by taking that idea and then morphing it into something that I can use myself. A Creates asks, do you edit your own videos, and if not, why? Or excuse me, who does? So the reason why I don't do it is because I've got a great and amazing husband who does it for me. So my husband, Scott, is actually a video producer, and so he shoots the videos and he edits the videos. He has been doing that for about almost 30 years. He's been doing videos, so he's been doing it quite some time. So I don't edit my own, but he does. Emma B asks, what's the hardest project you've ever made, and how can I get you for a party? So the hardest project I ever made, okay, the hardest project I ever worked on was I did an entire course, a duct tape course for Curious.com. And that was probably one of the hardest projects I've ever worked on, because I'm not a seamstress, and so I had to really think differently than I've ever done before, and it was a real challenge. Plus, I didn't have a lot of time. I only had a week to put everything together, and when I talk a week, I'm talking about a week of being able to teach the things that I was going to show in the course. And it can take me upwards of 5 to 6 times of doing something to be able to teach it. So it was a lot of work, and this was a 10 session course, so it was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it, but it was probably the hardest project I've ever worked on. And how can you get a party from me? Well, first and foremost, you have to live in California, San Francisco proper, to be exact. I go anywhere from San Jose all the way up to Sonoma County, so you know, I'll go an hour and a half to 2 hours in each direction. However, this is our base. We are based in San Francisco, and although we have done parties outside of our state, it gets very, very, very expensive to do that, because we have a lot of equipment that we bring for parties, and to bring it all the way to, say, someplace like San Diego or, you know, across the country gets rather expensive. I wish I could be everywhere at once, but unfortunately, this is where I call home, and I love my home. Danny Crafts Live, or Danny Crafts Live. I'm not quite sure if it's live or live. Danny Crafts Live, how many parties do you do in a year? So when I first started my business, I was doing like a party a weekend, and then it became 2 parties a weekend, then it became 4 parties, then it became like 8 parties a week. So it just kept growing exponentially. or expotent, whatever that word is. It got bigger and bigger as time went on. Now, I'm at a point now where I do bigger, larger events for 1,000 people, events for 800 people, big bar and bat mitzvahs, and those kind of parties where we're actually doing the entire weekend's worth of parties. So because of that, because of these larger scale parties, we don't do as many parties per year. I was at a point where I was doing about 360 parties a year. And that's, yeah, if you count that down, it's like a party a day. But I was doing 2 and 3 parties sometimes on a weekend day. Now I average, because of these big parties, about 200 a year. And I'm at pretty much most of the parties. There's only a very few that I'm not personally present. Fiona Kraft says, do you use duct tape every day? You know, not every day, but I would say probably about 4 or 5 times a week. I use duct tape a lot. I craft with it. I use it. I take it to every event that I do. And I just like playing with it. So yeah, I use it a lot, about 4 or 5 times a week, I'd say. Angelica G says, if you were in a craft store and you had 5 minutes to get anything you wanted for free, what would it be? I love this question. I love this question. Okay, so if I were in a craft store for 5 minutes for free, I would go crazy. Actually, there's two things that I would like. I would love to get one of those Cricut machines. It's a machine that you can like program in what you want it to cut, and it cuts the shapes out. So I'd love to get one of those. And then the other thing that I'm super, super intrigued about, but I'm kind of wary about buying, is this 3-dimensional pen thing. And I keep hearing about it, and it's like a 3D printer, but it's like a pen. And I'm really intrigued by that because I think it would be really fun to do at big parties or bar and bat mitzvahs, have somebody do a signature, and then you trace their signature, and then you could turn it into like a signature necklace or something like that. So I have no idea if it would work. I'm very intrigued by that. So those would be the 2 things that I would want: a Cricut cutter and one of these 3D pens, because I think those are neat. And final question, Crafty Tay 101 Love asks, what is a craft that you would like to learn? That's another great question. There's a couple things I'd like to learn. I'd love to learn how to knit or do crewel work or any of that kind of work with needles and yarn. I've always thought that's really intriguing. For some reason, I can't learn it from a book. For some reason, I need somebody to sit down and teach it to me. So that's one of the things that in the future, when I have a little bit more time, maybe when I retire, I'm promising myself that I'm gonna hire somebody to teach me how to do it. I'll take a class so that they can teach me how to do it. I don't learn things like that well from books, and so I think I definitely need a person to teach me that. But the other thing that I would love to learn how to do is all this 3D printing. I don't know if you would consider that to be a craft, but I think it's really cool, and I would like to learn how to do it. The other thing I'd like to learn how to do is arc weld, because I think that's really neat. But I haven't had time to learn how to do that either. I'm going to do a lot of things when I retire. So that's the end of question and answer session number 9. But remember, you can always ask a question of your own. Just put it down below. And as long as it hasn't been asked before, I will make sure to answer it for you. So come and check us out at Sophie-World.com.